Today is the 26th of April 2026. G'day. You've got George here again. And of course, I do nothing but present to you today's message of hope. In 1934, a young trainee chemical engineer named Thomas Main had been working on a problem for 4 years. Imagine 4 years of your life. Well, Nestle had given him a task, which was to develop a nutritious tonic drink for Australian children during the Depression. It's got to be affordable and made from local ingredients. Now, why can't we do that today? Just everything local. I have no ideas. Barley, malted barley, dry milk, cocoa, and had to dissolve properly when stirred into milk. Sounds like a pretty good idea to me. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it dissolve. So 4 years and that part never came together the way it's supposed to. Think about that. All right? There's a twist to it. Then one day he walked into his kitchen and found his daughter and her brother scooping the crunchy bits off the top of their drinks. Are you feeling the vibe here? The powder that refused to dissolve, the actual technical failure he spent years trying to correct, was the part his children reached for first. How about that, yeah? Little did he know. Oh, someone's screaming in the background. What is that? So he launched what we now call Milo at the 1934 Sydney Royal Easter Show. That's almost 100 years ago. And he named it after Milo of Croton, who was a Greek wrestler famed for his legendary strength. Now bear with me, guys, I'm going up a pretty steep hill. I'm going to make this work still, okay? And of course, he packaged it in a tin that became as recognizable as the product inside it. How many tins have you gone through in your life, do you reckon? How many tins of Milo? I've had several. Now, the Flaw was the feature, wasn't it? Incredible, hey? Now, before I go any further, I want to say something about that story that I think matters more than the product itself. Are you ready? Perhaps Main didn't throw away 4 years of work because he fell short of what he planned. Right? Maybe. He didn't wait until he had the perfect formula before launching what he had. Maybe. He observed what was actually in front of him. He just adjusted it. And of course he used it. Oh yeah. So, this is not a small thing. It's quietly the point of everything I want to say today. Because I think most of us, and I include myself honestly here, we all have a version of Main's problem. Okay, maybe not with a drink formula, but with whatever is sitting in our hands right now that we've decided isn't quite ready, isn't quite enough, isn't quite right. These are the messages we sabotage ourselves with. Oh, by the way, if today's episode is making you think about what you've been sitting on, great, thumbs up for that. Come back for more tomorrow, of course. But I'm here every day with practical biblical thinking on money and how I love to have you with me. So subscribe, don't miss out. Please give me a thumbs up. Let's get the algorithm going. Love to do more videos and share this video far and wide. All right, here comes the good bit. And there's a parable Jesus told that I keep returning to. It's from Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 18. Here we go. For it will be a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To the one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. Now he who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. Good job. So, also he who had 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. So, as we read, the man with the 5 went immediately. The 2 The man with the 2 also went immediately. And the last one, the one, he just buried it. Is that laziness? Is that evil? I'll let you decide. He didn't steal it. He didn't squander it. He just kept it completely safe, didn't he? And when the master returned and asked for an account, the man handed back to it intact. He explained he'd been afraid, that he knew the master was a demanding man, that he protected what he'd been given. He thought he was being responsible. And here's what the master said, verses 26 and 27. Let me repeat it. But his master answered him, "You wicked and slothful servant," which means you're lazy. "You knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers. And at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest." Right? He didn't ask for extraordinary returns, not dramatic multiplication. The bankers, the minimum sensible option, is just something. And that is what faithfulness requires. I wonder how many of you out there have been stewing and brewing about the idea that, no, I don't want to take any risk. It's just too dangerous. I keep it in my safe zone. I wonder. I just want to say, I've had that too for a very long time. But I realized the Lord, it's coming back. All the things that's happening around the world, Bible prophecies, everything the Bible says makes sense. And He's coming, and I'm doing whatever I can in my time, the resources I've got, and try to make an impact. Even if one person can convert to Christianity and follow good stewardship, it is 100% worth it. 100% worth it. Now, what strikes me about that servant, and this is the part I don't want you to miss, is that this problem wasn't recklessness. It was the quiet, respectable version of doing nothing. The version dressed up as caution. The version that feels like responsibility from the inside. And it isn't. He was waiting for the conditions that were never going to arrive. Waiting to feel less afraid. Waiting for a different master, perhaps. And waiting for more work. For more to work with. And as we see, the master did not accept those reasons. So here's where I want to tell you about a minibus. Are you ready? A few years ago, my church rang me one Thursday afternoon and asked if I could drive one, a minibus, because they had, the bus was licensed to carry 12 kids, and the day after it would be Friday night's kids gathering, normal Friday, right? Youth group, they call it. Now, I had driven a standard size car my entire life, nothing bigger. And the thought that arrived in that moment very clearly, I can remember till today, and very immediately, was that I was going to hurt someone. Not because I meant any harm, but because I had no sense of how wide that vehicle was, how it handled through the intersections, how much room it needed to stop. I knew nothing about driving something that size. It was definitely bigger than my car, right? More than twice the size. But unfortunately for me, or fortunately, they were shorter drivers. So yeah, I love the church, right? I love those kids. So I asked God for mercy, got behind the wheel and drove those kids there and back safely. Woo! I remember the relief when I pulled back into the car park. I remember thinking, wow, that happened. Now, the church didn't have a perfect driver available that night. They just had me, poor old George, with a standard license and a prayer. And on that particular Friday, in that particular moment of need, that was exactly enough. That's what I observed. Now, you might push back and say, that worked out, but it might not have. Fair enough. And here's what I want you to notice. The thing that nearly stopped me from being useful wasn't a genuine disqualification, right? It was actually the gap between what I had and what I assumed the situation required. A gap that, as it turned out, wasn't real. And we know what fear stands for, right? FEAR. False evidence appearing real. Remember that. So, back to Thomas. He spent 4 years trying to close the gap that wasn't real. He wanted a product he planned before he launched a product he had. And the man with 1 talent buried what he had because it wasn't 5. So here's the direct question. What are you sitting on right now because it doesn't feel like it's enough? The financial skill that seems too basic to be worth anything? Or the income stream that doesn't look impressive enough to discipline? Perhaps the imperfect starting point you've been quietly embarrassed about. Yeah? The plan that hasn't gone the way you've designed. And so you set it aside and call it being careful. Yeah. Well, friends, the master in that parable didn't tell the 1 talent servant he was off the hook because the 5 talent servant had so much more money to work with. Well, the expectation of faithfulness was the same for each one of those. 5 talent, 2 talent, 1 talent. Proportional to what was given. And not to what someone else was given. To what you had been entrusted with by God. Yes. Again, Thomas Main walked into his kitchen expecting to find a problem and discovered the product was already there. Not because the formula was finally fixed. No. But because he was stopped trying to improve what he had and started paying attention to what it already was. What a great story. And the thing in your hand right now may not look like what you planned for. It may look like the 1 talent instead of the 5. It may look like a flaw you've been meaning to correct before you do anything with it. But what if it doesn't need fixing? What if, think about it, what if the crunchy bit is the point? Well, I hope you enjoyed the story. That's quite a workout I did today. I should be doing more regularly, right? All right, thanks for being with me. Go get yourself Milo, hot chocolate, give it a nice tea drink perhaps, some smoothie. I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.